So hello friends, today I'm discussing about functions in Python. So as you all know, all programming languages have functions. So even Python has it, and it has many types of it. There is built-in functions, user-defined functions, and anonymous functions. We're going to learn each one of them. So what are functions? But functions like small packets of code which perform a specific task. For example, you may have functions for adding two numbers or three numbers, and you may have a function for finding the minimum of two, three numbers or maximum two, three numbers. There are functions. So are mainly used because they're easy to handle, easy to use, easy for debugging and various stuff. Let's move on to user-defined functions. Sorry, built-in functions first. So these are the functions that are already being given by Python and they're enclosed in certain libraries. So if you want to use them, you can just import the library. For example, if you want to do operations on regarding regular expressions, you have to import RE. So to something like import RE, then you can use all those compile and all those kind of functions which regular expressions. Oh yeah, we are trying to list some general functions, built-in functions. The first one, absolute. So absolute means the positive value of something. It'll return that if you pass a negative value, it will convert to positive. We'll see the examples. Any. So this any will, if in a list or tuple or set, if all of the values in that iterable are true, the output of any will be true. But it will also be true when at least one of them is true. Means at least one of them is either non-zero value, that is one true string, and it will return true. If all of them are false, then only it will return false. It can be also set to somewhat like OR gate and digital electronics. Now all this will return true only if all the elements in a list, tuple, or set are true. Otherwise, it will return false. Float. So it converts a number or string to float. Len. So as the name suggests, len stands for length. Length of an object, mostly iterable object, like list, tuple, or set, will return how many elements are contained in it. So list it will convert any tuple or a set to list. Max. So maximum will just find the maximum element in a tuple set or list, and minimum will also search for a minimum element in the list or tuple. So here are some of the example. You can see I passed my S20 and on applying apps, I'm getting 20. Now, when you pass num as 20 and you convert it to float, you get 20.0. My list, I'm converting over here, the length is 3. Now tuple, pass using the list function over here, and it become 10, 20, 30. And then if I'm trying to print minimum, maximum, I can get 10 and 30 respectively. Now, so this is the Python command prompt if you want curious about where I'm doing it. You can install Python in a command prompt, you can also execute it. So over here I'm restricting out any, so you can see all of them are true, hence will given true. But all of them over here are false, the elements in the list. So as I said, given false. For any, sorry, for all, in the first list, all of them are true. And so when you apply all, they are given true. But in second list, one is false. So as I told you, if any one or element in the iterable is false, then when you apply all operation on it, it becomes false. There. All you can attribute to AND gate in digital electronics. So that's easy to correlate. Let's talk about user-defined functions. So we users can also define functions because based on our ease. Python lets us do it. So the only way that we can do, or only two-step process is, first we have to create a function definition and make a call that function. How to create a function? So this is a syntax. Def is a keyword you have to use, and a function name. List of parameters you want to pass, and doc string is optional string. to just tell the function or the work of the function, what is it doing. And you can pass the statements, and if you want to return anything, you can return. It's very easy. Function is Python lets you return any value, string, int, or even a list or tuple. It doesn't bind you for anything. Like if, for example, you want to learn C++, C, Java, so that you have to, while creating a function only, you have to tell the compiler or interpreter that you have passing or returning integer values or float or double. So before only you have to, hence you'll be binded to return only those values. But in Python, at any moment you can return anything. So that's very flexible. Now the function calls are like with no arguments, required arguments, variable arguments, keyword arguments, default arguments. So some over here I'm passing no arguments. So as a result, it's the first one with no arguments. I'm passing two arguments. So yes, so I'll just return the sum of these two. 10 and 20. However, for using variable arguments, you must use something like a star and then a list. So this is the example. For example, I'm passing something like this. Then what about default arguments means if you want some, you don't have to rely on the user, and if you want some values to be surely present in a place, then you can put some default arguments, means no matter what the user gives in the input or it doesn't give in, it doesn't matter, your function will contain some values. If it gives in, user gives, then this values will be overwritten, else these values will be stored by default, something like this. One advantage of this is you can use it in databases. Or if you learn databases, there'll be some places where you don't require null values, for example, in primary keys. So you can use this value feature in databases. Now, this is for actually this is for default arguments. This is for keyword arguments. So keyword arguments means, for example, calling this function. Okay, so you can just whatever parameters or values over here it has, the function has to get, that only you can specify it from beginning. Hence, you can write it in any order. It is a job of the interpreter to match them and extract the values. So according to me, it is more easy and more faster in this way. You can write in any space. You're not restricted like that. First only ID number will come, then name. If you'll not read, the compiler will not evaluate things properly. So you are very flexible. You can just tell the compiler explicitly only what values you want for what. Hence, it is good. However, it requires extra typing. But the second one, keyword arguments. So here specifying some pre-default values itself. So this we can specify the first one for whom the default value is not specified and get updated. Now let's see some hidden secrets. Anonymous functions. So why are these called hidden? Because they don't have any name. And second of all, they don't use a syntax which I've already shown you using a def keyword. They just created using lambda constructor. So you can see the constructor over here, lambda argument one and then expression. We're going to see just how it's gonna work by example. So lambda is just like a single line statement. If you have visited C or C++, C++ mainly, you would have learned something about inline functions. There's something similar to that only. So you can just see I'm importing OS, then clear I'm doing some lambda function typing over here, os.system. So what I'm doing over here is that .os library, I'm just passing these things in the system class, the arguments, method function. Inside that I'm passing it some value. So then I'm calling this. So what will happen? The screen will get cleared off. You can also try any command. So thank you for watching this video. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment. Hope you see you on the next video. Thank you.